Hello and welcome to this first video in a series hosted by ADSA, the Association for Dietetics in South Africa. I'm Estelle Strydom and with me is Lisa Haverman-Nel, and we will be discussing throughout this series the importance of appropriate complementary food and practices. The World Health Organization defines complementary feeding as the process when breast milk alone is no longer sufficient to meet the energy requirements of an infant. This normally happens around 6 months of age and is also referred to as weaning or introducing solids. So by 6 months of age, an infant's diet should expand from specifically prepared first foods to a diet of family foods. This complementary feeding period then ends when food provides the majority of nutrient intake for a toddler at around 23 months of age, and the milk requirement is then decreased to around 500 milliliters per day, including yogurt and Mars. A review of the South African complementary feeding practices revealed that many infants and young children have poor complementary feeding practices and do not meet the criteria for a minimally acceptable diet. Processed foods, salty crisps, sugary drinks and sweets are often being given to children between the ages of 6 months and a year, and other liquids such as herbal mixtures or tea is also often introduced to infants before 6 months of age. Lisa, please explain to us why it is important for a mother or a caregiver to introduce appropriate complementary foods that are nutritious to infants at the right time.
Well, Estelle, it is well documented that the first 1,000 days of a child's life, from conception to the age of 2 years, is a critical period or window period of opportunity to positively impact a child's short but also long-term health. Compromising or neglecting nutrition during this period can have a negative impact on a child's future life. In fact, it's during these first 1,000 days that a child grows and develops faster than any other time of their life. This period of rapid growth, in combination of the need to include complementary foods at 6 months, indeed makes this period a period of vulnerability. Adequate maternal nutrition and exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months is therefore very important to ensure a child's health and survival. However, for the child to thrive, exclusive breastfeeding needs to be followed up.
So Lisa, what are some of the goals that mothers or caregivers can keep in mind when introducing complementary foods to their infants?
Well, Estelle, firstly, complementary foods should be introduced in a timely manner, ideally at 6 months of age. Secondly, careful consideration should be given to the types of foods included in the complementary diet. The focus should be on a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods to avoid all forms of malnutrition. Food choices should vary to ensure adequate intake of a wide variety of micronutrients and to accommodate exposure to new foods. Repeated exposure to nutrient-dense foods will promote the infant's acceptance to these foods. And then thirdly, mothers should really try to avoid harmful complementary feeding practices, such as offering nutrient-poor foods or foods high in sugar.
So what do you mean by malnutrition in all its forms?
Well, malnutrition is not only limited to an infant being underweight as a result of poor weight gain or excessive weight loss. Stunted growth in height, overweight, obesity, even micronutrient deficiencies, also referred to as hidden hunger, are also forms of malnutrition often caused by poor dietary intakes and or illness. The prevention of malnutrition does not only require a child to consume an adequate amount of energy. The child's diet also needs to include a wide variety of vitamins and minerals. Children may appear to grow well and even gain weight rapidly, but a poor micronutrient and protein intake can have devastating effects on child growth and especially brain development. Requirements of some micronutrients are also higher during infancy and young childhood compared to any other stage. So iron and zinc are two important examples of micronutrients that are especially important during complementary feeding, as past 6 months, breast milk is an insufficient source of both iron and zinc. Even if cow milk is introduced following 12 months, cow milk is also not sufficient in iron and zinc. Therefore, young children must consume iron and zinc through dietary food sources.
The Road to Health booklet provided by the National Department of Health provides an excellent source of information on what foods to start with. The second video in this series will also cover the aspects of nutrient-dense family foods. And a link to the South African Pediatric Food-Based Dietary Guidelines will be posted in the comments below.
We will now hand over to Rieta Harmse, who will walk us through a recipe. Thank you very much for joining us.
So this is recipe 1. We'll be talking about chicken livers and potatoes. So chicken livers is actually a great first food for baby, as it is rich in iron, high in protein, and contains vitamin A. A whisk works well, or you can mash it fine with a fork. If your chicken livers seem a bit dry, you can add some breast milk, maybe some avocado or even olive oil. For flavoring, you can very easily incorporate some herbs. Offer 1 to 2 teaspoons of chicken livers once or twice a week. Freeze them when they've cooled down and the correct portion sizes. As baby gets older, the texture can be adapted to be more lumpy, and you can even add some of the chicken livers to a piece of toast from the age 7 to 8 months. Chicken livers, potato, herbs of choice. The final product.